At first glance, a visit from relatives is usually considered a joyful event. Family gatherings, warm conversations, shared meals, all of it sounds comforting. But this time, it was different. Very different. The mother-in-law didn't arrive just with suitcases. She arrived with a ready-made plan for how the entire family was supposed to live. The moment she crossed the threshold, she handed her daughter-in-law a printed sheet of paper and said calmly, almost proudly, "Here is the lists, what you should cook, when you should wake up, how you should dress." The young woman accepted the paper in silence. No one in that room could have imagined how that single moment would change everything. Introduction. Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm sharing a new emotional and thought-provoking story. Enjoy listening. Part 1. Emily's patience. Emily Parker always considered herself a patient person. She could listen calmly to a coworker who complained about their boss for the third time in one day. She could smile politely at a rude cashier in a grocery store. She could even stay silent when her husband, Daniel Parker, forgot their wedding anniversary. But as it turned out, even patience has limits. And Emily's limit came in the form of a printed list of demands. Emily and Daniel had been married for 3 years. Their wedding was modest, nothing extravagant, but they had something far more important: their own small apartment, a one-bedroom, 300-square-foot apartment on the outskirts of the city. Emily had bought it with a mortgage before she even met Daniel. She'd worked as an insurance manager, earning around $900 a month, half of which went straight to the bank. Daniel worked as an engineer at a factory. His salary covered utilities, groceries, and the loan payments on his car. They didn't live richly, but they lived independently. Part 2. The mother arrives. Daniel's mother, Margaret Wilson, appeared in their lives occasionally. Once every couple of months, she would visit from her city, nearly 200 miles away. She always brought homemade jam. She always criticized how Emily kept the house, and she always sighed dramatically while looking at her son, Danny. "How do you even fit in such a tiny apartment?" Ironically, Margaret owned a spacious 3-bedroom apartment of her own and lived there alone after her husband passed away. Everything changed in March. Daniel came home one evening looking unusually tense and said his mother needed surgery. Emily was frightened at first. After all, Margaret was over 60. But it turned out to be a planned procedure for varicose veins. Not dangerous, just a long recovery. Margaret called Daniel in a trembling voice, saying she had no one, that she was completely alone, and asked if she could stay with them for a couple of months. "Just 2 months," Daniel repeated, looking at Emily with pleading eyes. Emily looked around their tiny apartment, the couch that served as their bed, the cramped kitchen. "Okay," she said quietly, "but only 2 months. Part 3. The slow takeover. Margaret arrived in April with 3 suitcases, 2 bags, and a box full of pots. "I brought my own cookware," she announced cheerfully. "Yours is not serious." After surgery, she was discharged in 5 days straight into Emily's apartment. Margaret took over the couch, declaring she needed peace and quiet. Emily and Daniel moved to a folding bed. "This is temporary," Daniel whispered. "Please, just endure it." Emily endured. She woke up at 6 a.m., cooked breakfast, rushed to work, returned home exhausted only to find Margaret cooking in the kitchen. "I tried your food yesterday," Margaret said without turning around. "Inedible. My son needs proper meals." Weeks passed. Margaret rearranged furniture, threw away Emily's cosmetics, gave endless advice on cleaning, cooking, dressing, and even how to talk to her husband. Daniel avoided conflict. He nodded. He stayed silent. Part 4. The breaking point. The first serious conflict happened when Emily came home and found her wedding dress soaking in a basin. "I washed it," Margaret said casually. "The silk was ruined." Daniel defended his mother. That day, something inside Emily broke. By July, Margaret acted like the apartment was hers. Emily slept on the folding bed, exhausted, invisible. Then one morning, Margaret handed Emily 2 printed pages. "Here's the list," she said proudly. "Since I live here now, it's time for order. Wake up at 5:30, cook breakfast at 7:30, only skirts, hair tied up, proper lunches, proper dinners, even what to watch on TV." He folded the pages carefully and said, Thank you. I'll think about it. That evening, she came home early, and she began packing Margaret's suitcases. Part 5. Choosing herself, Daniel arrived 30 minutes later. Emily handed him the list. For 3 months, you chose your mother, she said calmly. Now I choose myself. She packed his things too. That night, she locked the door behind them and sat on the floor of her apartment. For the first time in months, she could breathe. Ending the divorce was quick. Months later, Margaret appeared again, asking for help. Emily said only one word: no. She went inside, closed the door, and laughed softly. The past was finally behind her.